Hello and welcome to our Breakthrough Maths GCSE Masterclass. I'm Harry, I'm a student at university going into my third year of mathematics, and here I'm going to take you through some foundation topics that you need to know in order to master your exams. Okay, today what we're going through is fractions, lowest common multiple and highest common factor ratio, and some basic algebra. Starting off with fractions, this is one of the easiest topics in maths and you need to know how to do it. I know it can be difficult, but multiplying fractions should be something that you know how to do immediately. Okay, I'm going to take you through this and teach you in about 3 minutes. So we've got 2/5 multiplied by 1/4. All we're going to do in this situation is multiply across. Okay, think of it as top to top, bottom to bottom. That's all it is. So we're going to multiply 2 and 1, okay, which hopefully you'd all be able to tell me gives us 2. And then 5 times 4, multiply them as well to give us 20. And therefore, we're left with 2 over 20. We're not quite done because we can simplify this. 2 and 20 can both divide by 2. All right, divide both of them by 2 to get 1/10. And that is our answer for this first question. Our second question, okay, it's a little bit trickier. As you can see, we've got a number 1 in front of that first fraction. This is what we call a mixed number. So we've essentially got 1 and 2/3. So in order to multiply these, we're going to have to convert that mixed number into an improper fraction. The way we do this is by looking at this big number, seeing what it is. Okay, so we know it's 1. We're going to multiply that by our denominator, the bottom number, which is 3, to get 3, and then add that on to the top of our fraction. So we're going to do 3 plus 2 to give us 5, and therefore our improper fraction is going to be 5 over 3. Put that second fraction back, and we've got 5 over 3 multiplied by 5 over 8. Do a little bit of mathematics here, a bit of multiplication to give us 25 over 24. Okay, a nice little thing that we've got here. If we're converting this back to a mixed number, all we have to do is, right, so we've got 25 over 24. How many 24s go into 25? 1. Okay, so we write that on the side. And how many have we got left over? 1. So we're going to have 1 and 1/24. Okay, there we are. This next question, you can see it's not very clear, but this finger is pointing at you. Okay, so what I need is for you to try this question, pause the video, and I'll go through it, and hopefully we can get this right. So we'll give you 5 seconds to pause the video. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Okay, I hope all of you found that okay. Now what we're going to do is go through this as quick as possible. 4 times 3 to give us 12. 9 times 4 to give us 36. So we've got 12 over 36. Simplify this down, okay? We can divide both of them by 4, okay? If we wanted to, we get 3 over 9. We can simplify that again. We can divide both of them by 3 to give us 1 over 3. And that is our answer, 1/3. Okay, moving on to adding fractions. And this is slightly trickier than what we've seen before, but nothing too complex. If you understood the multiplying fractions, you'll be able to do this no problem. All right, so it's essentially the same thing, but we have to do something before we start. Okay, we have to make our denominators the same. So we're trying to find the lowest common multiple of our denominators. So we've got 3 and 9 as currently at the bottom of our fraction. We're trying to make those the same number. So 3 and 9. What is the smallest number that both of these go into? If you said 9, you are absolutely bang on. Okay. And in order for this fraction here on the left hand side to become 9, we're going to have to multiply that by 3. We're going to have to multiply the top and the bottom by 3, which would give us 6 over 9. Then we've got plus that 1 over 9 that remains over there. So 6 over 9 plus 1 over 9. All we have to do now is 6 plus 1 to give us 7. And our final answer is 7 over 9. All right, moving on. We've got another mixed number, okay? And we're going to have to deal with that before we do anything else. So convert this again. So we multiply 4 by 3 to give us 12. Add that to the top, and we get 13 over 3. And then that is added to 3 over 10. Once again, we're going to try and find the lowest common multiple of these two denominators. In this case, it's going to be 30. So we're going to have to multiply both of these fractions. We're going to have to multiply the left-hand side by 10 and the right-hand side by 3. So we're going to have 130 over 30 plus 9 over 30. Do a little bit of addition here, and we get ourselves 139 over 30. If we were then convert this back to a mixed number, how many 30s go into 139? 4. How many are remaining? 19. Okay, so it's 4 and 19 over 30. Hopefully that made sense. And finally, this last question, once again, you do this by yourself, okay? You've got 5 seconds to pause the video, and I'm going to go through it. Okay, once again, hopefully that wasn't too bad. Hopefully you got your lowest common multiple, your common denominator to be 45. You could have chosen 90 or anything else, but the lowest one in this case is 45. So I'm going to write this out over here, 45 and 45. So we're going to have to multiply this one by 5 and multiply this one by 9. So this would give us 10 and this would give us 27. So we've got 10 over 45 plus 27 over 45 to give us 37. 37 is a prime number. Okay, moving on to subtracting fractions. This is more or less identical to what we've just done. It's the exact same thing, but instead of adding at the end, we just take them away. Nice and easy. So once again, we're looking for our lowest common multiple of these denominators. In this case, 35. So I'm going to write 35 out below. And what do we have to do to make this left-hand side become 35? What do we have to do to that 7? Those of you that said multiply by 5, you are absolutely bang on. So we're going to get 10 over 35. Subtract that, and we've got 7 over 35 here because we're multiplying by 7. Those of you that got this, very nicely done. And we get 3 over 35. Nice and easy. Once again, we've got another mixed number. So deal with this before we deal with anything else. This mixed number is going to convert into 10 over 3. So 10 over 3 minus 2 over 7. Our lowest common denominator in this case is going to be 21 because we just multiply both of them. So we're going to be left with 70 over 21 minus 6 over 21. Here we are. Do a little bit of subtraction on top, and we get 64 over 21, which then converts into 3 and 1 over 21. Perfect. Okay, I understand this is very quick, but if you're keeping up, fantastic. You can always slow down the video or pause it. And speaking of pausing it, if you want to give this question a go, please feel free. Okay, hopefully that was enough time. We're going to go through this. So we've got 8 over 9 and 2/3. So we're trying to, once again, I've said it a million times, get that lowest common multiple. In this case, we actually don't have to do anything to this left-hand side because we can just multiply this side by 3 to get over 9 as well. So therefore, we're going to be left with 8 over 9 minus 3 times this one. So it's going to be 6 over 9. And a little bit of subtraction gives us the answer of 2/9. Nice and easy. Okay. If I'm going too quick, my apologies. All right. But this is what I've been told to do. And hopefully it's too bad. I know you guys are very smart, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem whatsoever. Okay, finally dividing fractions, and then I promise we're done with fractions because I understand they're really not very fun, but it's something you have to know, and it comes up hundreds of times in GCSE papers. Okay, we've got 1/5 divided by 2/3, and now this is quite a tricky one. However, those of you that enjoy McDonald's will not like this. We're going for KFC, keep flip change. Those of you that have heard of that, or KCF, technically keep change flip. All right. And you're probably thinking, Harry, what are you on about? All right. Keep flip change. So we keep that first fraction. Okay. I'm going to change this to KCF, but I just like KFC because it sounds a bit better. Right. 1/5, we're keeping that. We're going to change this divide sign to a multiplication sign, as so, and then flip this final equation, okay, or this final fraction to become 3 over 2. We then multiply them like we did initially, and we get 3 over 10. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. And you remember now, KFC is the way to go over McDonald's. Anyway, back to the maths. My apologies. Uh, we're going to do the same thing here. Keep this first one 1/10. Change that to a multiplication sign and flip this last question. So we got 1 times 9 to give us 9, 10 times 4 to give us 40, 9 over 40, and that cannot be simplified. Okay, finally, it is your turn once again. Pause the video and get this absolutely bang on. You've got this, guys. I believe in you. Okay, once again, hopefully that wasn't too bad. Let's do this. So we've got 3 over 8 multiplied by 9 over 7. All right, a little bit of trickier multiplication here, but we've got this in the bag, guys. Trust me. 3 times 9 to give us 27, and 8 times 7 to give us 56. I don't believe that can be simplified from my knowledge. I hope I'm not wrong there. Yes. Okay. Sweet. Very nicely done, guys. And finally, we're done with fractions. Moving on to lowest common multiple. And we've just done quite a lot of this in the finding the lowest common multiple of our fractions. So hopefully this isn't too bad. Our first question, what is the lowest common multiple of 12 and 16? Okay, so there are many different ways to do this, and whichever way you prefer is the best way, as long as you get the right answer. So if I'm telling you something that you don't normally do, then don't listen to me, ignore me. A lot of people do it, trust me. So what I'm going to do is we're starting off with 12, and I'm just going to write down all of the multiples of 12 that I know. So 12, 24, 36, 48, 60. I'll go up to there for the time being. I'm going to do the same for 16. And what we're looking for are two numbers that overlap. All right. So 16, 32, 48. And boom, there we are. We've got 48 here and we've got 48 over here. Therefore, our lowest common multiple is going to be 48. So essentially, the lowest common multiple is the smallest big number. Highest common factor is the biggest small number. If that made absolutely no sense, ignore me. But that is the way I think of it, and it normally goes quite well. All right, write down 3 numbers that have a lowest common multiple of 24. Now, this is quite a tricky one. We're not used to seeing this. We're not used to seeing 3 numbers, and there are many different ways you could go about this. All right, it doesn't, there is not one right answer. Let's go for this though. So if we think of the multiples or the factors of 24 in this case, what can we think of the biggest one? 24. 24 times 1, it is 24, isn't it? So therefore, 24 is a multiple of 24. And what else have we got? A little bit lower than that, we've got 12. 12 times 2. And then a little bit lower than that, we've got 8. So we know that the lowest common multiple of 8, 12, and 24 would be 24. Hopefully that makes sense. And once again, I'm going to leave you guys to do this one. So find the lowest common factor of 14 and 18. All right, pause the video and give this one a go. All right, let's go through this as quickly as possible. We've got 14 and 18. So 14, 28, 42, 56, 70, 84. I'm going to leave it there for the time being. I'm actually not sure what the answer to this one is at this current moment in time. But we've got 18, 36, 54, 72, 90, and then 108. Okay, we haven't quite got it yet. So we keep going. So let's go back to this 14 list. We've got 98. Yeah, 98. 112. 126. 140. Okay, let's go back to the 18s now. 108 plus 18 to give us 126. And there we are. There is it. That was quite a long-winded one, so I apologize, guys, but hopefully you got that right if you did pause the video. Those of you that didn't, come on, lock in. All right, we got this. We're not here for no reason. There's no point in you being here if you're not going to give it a go. So next one, I want you to pause the video if you didn't last time. Okay. Now moving on to highest common factor. Okay, this one, in my opinion, slightly easier. However, I do use a slightly different method. Let's think of our factors of 8. Starting off with the biggest, we have 8 and 1. We then have 4 and 2. All right, and those are the biggest ones that we have. Okay, or those are the only ones that we have, should I say. 12. Let's do the same thing. 12 and 1. And a lot of people always forget that initial one. So it will be 1 times whatever the number is always a multiple. Okay. We then have 6 and 2. So currently our highest one is 2. That doesn't seem quite right. What about 4 and 3? There we are. Okay. 4 appears in both of these lists and therefore is our highest common factor. Nicely done, my friends. Right, once again, highest common factor of 56 and 98. Here is where I'm going to use a slightly different method. All right, if you don't like it, don't use it. Simple as that. All right, so hopefully you guys have heard of prime factor trees. What I'm going to do is turn this 56 into a prime factor tree. So what I'd like to do is just take half of it each time. So half of 56 is going to give us 28. So 28 and 2, circle that 2 because it's a prime. Then 14 and 2, circle that because it's a prime. And then we've got 7 and 2 as well. So we've got 2, 2, 2, and 7. For 98, we're going to do the same thing. All right. Let's work this out. So 2 and 49. All right. And then it's just going to be 7 and 7. Now what we can do is put this into a Venn diagram. Although you don't have to. You absolutely don't. What I like to do is just look at this, maybe change a color pen and circle the ones that appear twice. We can see that we've got 2s and 7s only. So start off on this 56. We've got 1, 2 here, and we've got another one there. If we go back to 56, we've got 2 there, but not another one. So we can cross off both of those 2s. And then we've got a 7, and we've got another one over here. However, we don't have any other ones. So we know that 2 and 7 are our numbers. So what we're going to do is just multiply those together, 2 times 7, to give us 14. And that is our highest common factor. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. And finally, highest common factor of 24 and 36. Once again, it's over to you guys. Give this one a go. Use my method if you like. If not, go with the way we did it at the beginning. For this one, it really wouldn't matter. Okay. So hopefully that wasn't too bad once again. Highest common factor of 24 and 36. So let's write these out. I'm going to use our first method because we don't need to use the Venn diagram one here. We've got 24 and 1, 12, 2, 8, 3, 6, 4. And I think that is it. And then for 36, we've got 36, 1, 18, 2, 12, and 3. And there we are. We see 12 appear twice, and therefore it is our highest common factor. All right. Apologies if this is the most boring thing you've ever been in, guys. It is not the most exciting topics in the world, but hopefully you're learning something. All right. Oh, we've scrolled a little bit too far there. Right, moving on to ratio. This is our penultimate topic, so don't worry, guys. I'm not keeping you for too long. Right. I know this is a topic I quite enjoy it personally. However, a lot of people struggle with it. It is not very fun and it can be very difficult depending on the question you get asked, especially in the questions that are about 5,000 words long. I've tried to keep it quite small, quite compact, so it's easier to understand the maths. And then when you get to doing your exams, you can understand how to do the really long questions. So we're asked to divide £60 in the ratio 2 to 3. So whenever we get this, if we're given a total and we're given a ratio and we're asked to split it into that ratio, all we have to do is add up that ratio. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Add up this ratio, 2 plus 3, and divide that into 60. So 60 divided by 5. 60 divided by 5. Hopefully you guys would be able to tell me that that is 12. Okay. Now that we've got to this position, all we have to do is put it back into the ratio. Our ratio is 2 to 3. We're going to do 2 times 12 and 3 times 12. So do that maths, we get 24 to 36. And that is our final ratio split. That was an awful pound sign. I apologize. All right, here we are. A recipe uses flour and sugar in the ratio 4 to 1. If 250 grams of sugar is used, how much flour is needed? All right. So this one's slightly different. Instead of them giving us the total amount in this ratio, they've given us one value. So we need to look at the ratio and pick out which one is which. In ratio questions, it will always tell you respectively what's happening. So by that, I mean, so flour comes first in here, and therefore that one is going to be flour, our first one in the ratio. Sugar comes second, and therefore our second one in the ratio is 1. If we've been given 250 grams of sugar, then we're trying to calculate how much flour we need to use, then we'll work this out. I'm going to write it like this. Okay. So I'm going to write flour to sugar is 4 to 1. All right. We know that 250 grams goes here, and we're looking to get this number here. So I'm just going to write a question mark there. What have we done to get from 1 to 250? All right. Hopefully, you guys are screaming at your laptop saying we multiplied by 250. So therefore, we have to do the exact same thing over here. Multiply by 250. So 4 multiplied by 250 gives us 1,000. So we're looking for 1,000 grams or 1 kilogram of flour. Once again, it is your turn. All right. I know I'm getting you to do a lot of maths here, but hopefully we've gone through it quickly. You've got this in the bag. Pause the video and I'll be back in, well, however long you need to solve this. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. So this one is slightly different. I'm sure you noticed we've got 3 different values here instead of 2, but it's very, very similar to what we did initially. So we add up the ratio once again. We do 1 plus 2 plus 3 to give us 6. And therefore, we're dividing our total by 120. So 120 divided by 6 is going to give us 20. So we know it's going to be £20 per portion of this ratio. So £20 is equal to 1. In this ratio, we know that 20 is going to go first because there's 1. And then we times 20 by 2 to give us 40 and times it by 3 to give us 60. And that is our ratio. Okay, moving on to a couple more ratio questions. In a class, the ratio of boys to girls is 3 to 5. What I'm going to do, just for our sanity, I'm going to change this to an 8. Okay, so it's 3 to 8. And this is my bad. I made this question. All right, so we've got the ratio of 3 to 8. We know there are 24 girls, and therefore I'm going to write it down here. All right. So what did we do to get from 8 to 24? We multiplied by 3, didn't we? So we're going to have to do the same down here. We multiply 3 by 3 to give us 9, and therefore there are 9 boys. Right, finally, guys, the last question on ratio, and then we've got one more topic and we're done. In a bag, the ratio of red balls to green balls is 5 to 3. There are 40 balls in total. How many are red? Okay, try this by yourself. If you don't know, I'm going to show you the answer in a minute anyway. So pause the video. You've got 3 seconds. Perfect. Okay, I guarantee those of you that did that have got this right. Okay, in a bag, the ratio of red balls to green balls is 5 to 3. So I'm going to write this out, 5 to 3. And we know our total is 40. So I'm going to write that over here. What we do now, we add up our ratio, add these together, all right, to give us 8. Okay, we then divide that by our total. So 40 divided by 8 to give us 5. We're looking for how many are red. Okay, so it's red balls, 2 green balls. So therefore, that 5 is our red. So we're going to do 5 times 5 to give us 25. And that is how many we have. Okay, hopefully that was good and you got that right. Moving on to our final topic, solving equations, algebra. And I know that 99% of you watching this video hate algebra, and it is the most difficult thing in the world. Hopefully after this session, it is that slightest bit easier. Even if it's a tiny bit easier, then I'm happy I've done my job. All right. Just think of it. Right. I know the letters confuse everyone. Think of it all as numbers. I know that's hard, but you've got this. Okay. So our first one is x plus 9 is equal to 20. All right. There are many different ways we could go about this. You could look at it and just think, oh, yeah, I know this. All right. Because what adds to 9 to get 20? It's 11. But unfortunately, that won't get you too far later on because it will involve a lot of trial and error. So we're going to go a specific way about this. We're going to do something called making X the subject. Okay. And we're going to do a couple of things in order for that to happen. So we're essentially trying to get this X to be by himself. He wants to be lonely. Okay. He wants to be on the left hand side of this equation all by himself. In order to do that, we've got a 9 in the way. That 9 is trying to cling on to him. He doesn't need that. So we have to get rid of that 9 and move him to the other side of the equation. In order to do that, we've got x plus 9. So in order to get rid of that 9, to get him away, we're going to have to take him away from the x. Literally, we're going to have to subtract him from the x. So we're going to subtract 9 from both sides of this equation. All right. And once we do that, we get x is equal to 20 minus 9, which would give us the answer of 11. X is equal to 11. And sorry, guys, I'm just going to have to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Moving on. All right. I'm going to rub that question out. I know if you guys are copying it down, you're on a video, so you can move back, can't you? I just want to create a little bit of space and don't want the page to be too overloaded. Right. The next one is a very similar sort of thing. 2y minus 10 is equal to 24. All right. We're trying to get that y by himself once again. And we have that 10. All right. That pesky 10 is trying to cling on to him. All right. But this current moment in time, he is subtracted from that 2y. So it's 2y minus 10. In order to get that 10 to the other side, we're going to have to add him on to make that become 0. So we add 10 to both sides of this equation to get 2y is equal to 24 plus 10, which is going to give us 34. All right. We then have 2y is equal to 34. We're trying to get that y by himself again. And we've got 2 times y. So we need to divide it by 2 in order to get one of those y's. So divide both sides by 2. We get y is equal to 34 divided by 2, which gives us the answer of 17. All right. Moving on here. All right. Now we've got a problem, okay, because we've got x is scattered around, okay? We've got x on the left-hand side and x on the right-hand side. But as I said before, x always wants to be on the left-hand side. So we have to try and do that for him. We have to move that 2x over to the left-hand side. How are we going to do that, may you ask? We're going to subtract him. We're going to take him away because he's added to that right-hand side at the moment. So subtract 2x from both sides, and we're left with 8x minus 2x is equal to 36. Okay, 8x minus 2x equals 36. We're going to do this. And a lot of you may think 8x minus 2x, that has to equal 6. You wouldn't be right, okay? 8x minus 2x is going to give us 6x. Okay, so 6x is equal to 36. All right. The reason being for this, think about it. If that X stood for bananas, right? If you had 8 bananas and you took away 2 bananas, you'd still have 6 bananas. You wouldn't just have 6. All right. And that's exactly how it is in this case. So 6x is equal to 36. Divide both sides by 6 and we get 6. A lot of 6's involved, but x is equal to 6. All right. And for this question 4, I want you guys to do this yourself. You've got this in the bag, I promise you. I've made it fairly easy compared to the previous 2 that we've done, but you've got this. All right, pause the video. And I want you guys, every single one of you watching this video, I want to see all the statistics saying the video is paused at this time. You've got this. Okay. Hopefully you've got this bang on. I guarantee you have. So we've got 3a minus 7 is equal to 11. Once again, we're trying to get that a by himself. So we add that 7 to both sides to give us 3a is equal to 11 plus 7, which is 18. So 3a is equal to 18, divided by 3 on both sides, and we get that a is equal to 6 once again. Nicely done. Okay. And finally, this is our last page, guys. Don't worry too much. All right. This is expanding brackets. And let's hope you guys have heard of this before. And it does get a little bit tricky, but I guarantee you guys have got this in the bag. Okay. All we have to do here is pretend that the thing on the outside is multiplying absolutely everything inside the bracket. Okay. So in this case, 2 times x and then 2 times 4. Okay. And if there were 10 things in this bracket, this 2 would multiply by everything in that bracket. All right. So 2 times x, I hope you guys would tell me that that gives us 2x. And then we're adding, because we've got that plus side in the middle and that stays there. And we do 2 times 4 to give us 8. So our full answer is we're just simplifying it, 2x plus 8. Okay, we're going to do the same thing down here. We've got 4x on the outside this time. All right, so we've got 4x brackets x plus 5. What do you think we will do if we do 4x times x? And maybe this isn't something you've seen before, and that is absolutely fine. But what we're going to do here, I'm going to show you. So when we do 4x times x, or just x times x in any case, it gives us x squared. Okay, so x times x gives us x squared, y times y gives us y squared. It just means they are multiplied together. That's all it means. So if we have 4x times x, all right, it is going to give us 4x squared. Those of you that were thinking that, very nicely done. All right, we then have 4x times 5. 4x times 5, so 4 times 5 gives us 20. Put that x back on, gives us 20x. And therefore our answer is 4x squared plus 20x. All right, moving on. We've got a little bit of a combination of what we've just done and the previous section, okay? So we're going to have to expand this bracket and then work out what it is after that. And I know you're seeing a big number here. You're seeing 105, but it will make sense in a minute. Trust me. So we've got 5 on the outside. So 5 times 2x is going to give us 10x. Plus 7. So 5 times that plus 7 is going to give us 35. So we've got 10x plus 35 is equal to 105. So now what we do, again, we're trying to get that x by himself. So we need to get rid of that 35 first and foremost, okay? Get rid of that 35 by subtracting it. We get 10x is equal to 105 minus 35. So, and that gives us 70. So 10x is equal to 70. And therefore, if we divide by 10 on both sides, we get x is equal to 7. All right. And here we are, our final question, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. This is our last one. Pause the video and give this one a go. You're going to smash it, I promise you. Okay. Those of you that pause the video, well done. And thanks for sticking with me today. It has been great fun, even though I've been talking to myself. It feels like you were here. All right. So we've got 7 lots of 2x is equal to 70. So it's essentially, I put brackets in here for no reason. It's just 7 times 2x. So 7 times 2 gives us 14. And we've got that x to add back on as well. So it's going to give us 14x. And that 14x is going to be equal to 70. All right. Now, this is a little bit trickier, okay? It's not something that comes to brain immediately. But we know we're going to have to divide by 14 on both sides. So x is going to be equal to 70 divided by 14. And some of you would have used a calculator here, and I know that, and that is absolutely fine. I understand why. But 70 divided by 14 gives us the answer of 5. So x is equal to 5. There we are. Thank you so much for watching today's video, guys. If you are interested in joining our course, go to breakthroughmaths.co.uk and sign up. All right. Your tutor will be myself. Thank you so much for tuning in and take care. Goodbye.